Hollywood's golden age was full of glitz, glamour, and unforgettable stars. But behind the fame, many faced tragic, untimely ends. From shocking accidents to personal struggles, these 25 heartbreaking stories will take you on a journey through the darker side of Hollywood's most iconic figures. Stay till the end. Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee, son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, was on the verge of stardom when tragedy struck. While filming The Crow in 1993, Lee was accidentally shot and killed on set by a prop gun loaded with a live round. He was just 28 years old. The incident was eerily similar to his father's untimely death 2 decades earlier, cementing the Lee family's place in Hollywood's tragic history. Brandon's death remains one of the most infamous accidents in film production. Robert Walker. Robert Walker is best known for his chilling performance in Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, but his real life was plagued by emotional instability. Following his divorce from actress Jennifer Jones, Walker struggled with mental health issues and alcoholism. In 1951, he died suddenly at the age of 32 after being given a sedative by his doctor, which led to a fatal reaction. His death shocked Hollywood and ended what could have been a longer, more illustrious career. Dana Plato. Dana Plato found fame at a young age playing Kimberly Drummond on Different Strokes, but her life spiraled out of control after the show ended. She struggled with drug addiction, legal issues, and financial difficulties. In 1999, Plato died of an intentional overdose of painkillers and muscle relaxants at the age of 34. Her tragic demise highlighted the darker side of child stardom and the struggles many young actors face after their careers fade. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman was one of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses, known for her roles in Casablanca and Notorious. Despite her luminous screen presence, Bergman's personal life was filled with scandal, including an extramarital affair that caused public backlash in the 1950s. After years of battling breast cancer, she died on her 67th birthday in 1982. Her passing marked the end of an era, but she remains one of the most revered actresses in film history. Gig Young. Gig Young was an Oscar-winning actor known for his role in They Shoot Horses, Don't They? But his life took a dark turn after years of personal struggles. Young battled alcoholism and depression, and in 1978, just 3 weeks after marrying his fifth wife, Kim Schmidt, he tragically shot her before turning the gun on himself in a murder-suicide. He was 64 years old, and the shocking event left Hollywood stunned by how deeply his demons had overtaken him. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was one of the biggest heartthrobs of the 1950s and 60s, known for his brooding intensity in films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity. Despite his undeniable talent, Clift's personal life was riddled with turmoil. A devastating car crash in 1956 left his face disfigured and his life spiraling into a pit of addiction. Clift's struggles with alcohol and prescription drugs consumed him, and he was never quite the same after the accident. He died at the age of 45 in 1966 from a heart attack, remembered as a tortured soul behind his movie star looks. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge broke barriers as the first African-American woman to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. Her role in Carmen Jones made her a sensation, but Hollywood's systemic racism limited her opportunities. Personal strife and financial ruin plagued Dandridge's later years. In 1965, at just 42, she was found dead in her apartment from an overdose of antidepressants. Her tragic death highlighted the pressure and rejection she faced throughout her career. Jane Mansfield. Jane Mansfield, a platinum blonde bombshell, was often compared to Marilyn Monroe. With roles in films like The Girl Can't Help It, she embraced her sexuality and became one of the biggest sex symbols of the 1950s and 60s. Sadly, her life was cut short in a gruesome car accident on June 29, 1967. Her car collided with the back of a semi-truck, killing her instantly at the age of 34. Rumors swirled that Mansfield was decapitated, but the reality was equally horrific. Her skull was crushed. Her tragic death solidified her legacy as a Hollywood icon gone too soon. Sal Mano. Sal Mano, best remembered for his Oscar-nominated role in Rebel Without a Cause, was one of Hollywood's first openly gay actors. He struggled with his identity in a time when being openly gay was taboo. Tragically, on February 12, 1976, Monroe was stabbed to death in an alleyway near his Los Angeles home. He was only 37 years old. While his career had slowed by then, Monroe's talent and bravery in the industry made him a trailblazer. His death remains one of Hollywood's most shocking unsolved mysteries for years, until a suspect was finally apprehended. Marilyn Monroe. The ultimate Hollywood sex symbol, Marilyn Monroe's story is perhaps the most tragic of them all. Known for her roles in Some Like It Hot and The 7-Year Itch, Monroe embodied the glamour of 1960s Hollywood. But behind her famous smile, she struggled with depression and addiction. Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home on August 4, 1962, from an overdose of barbiturates. She was just 36. The circumstances of her death have sparked conspiracy theories for decades, with many believing there was more to her death than an overdose. Judy Garland. The legendary Judy Garland is best known for her role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Despite her iconic status, Garland's life was anything but a fairy tale. She struggled with addiction and the relentless pressures of fame, which took a massive toll on her health. Her tumultuous relationships and financial struggles only added to the stress. Garland died of an accidental overdose on June 22, 1969, at the age of 47. The world lost one of its greatest talents that day, leaving behind a legacy that will never be forgotten. Peter Lawford. Peter Lawford was a suave British actor and member of the famous Rat Pack, starring in films like Ocean's 11 and The Longest Day. He was also famously connected to the Kennedy family through his marriage to Patricia Kennedy. Lawford's life became marred by addiction, and his once promising career faded. He passed away on Christmas Eve, 1984, from liver and kidney failure due to years of alcoholism. The once dashing movie star died in obscurity, far from the glittering lights of Hollywood. George Sanders. With his distinctive voice and elegant manner, George Sanders became known for playing sophisticated villains in films like Rebecca and All About Eve. Despite his success, Sanders was deeply unhappy. He was plagued by health issues and loneliness in his later years. On April 25, 1972, he checked into a hotel in Spain and took his own life with an overdose of barbiturates, leaving behind a note that famously read, "I am leaving because I am bored." His death shocked the industry and added a dark twist to his otherwise glamorous life. Barbarapton. Barbarapton's career began promisingly, starring in films like Bride of the Gorilla and Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, but her life soon spiraled out of control due to her excessive drinking and tumultuous love life. By the mid-1950s, her career was in ruins, and she turned to prostitution to make ends meet. Payton died at just 39 years old from liver failure and heart disease in 1967, a tragic end for a woman who once had Hollywood at her feet. Brian Keith. Brian Keith, known for his gruff but lovable roles in The Parent Trap and Family Affair, battled depression and health issues in his later years. After being diagnosed with terminal cancer and suffering from financial difficulties, Keith took his own life on June 24, 1997, at the age of 75. The industry lost a versatile and beloved actor, leaving fans heartbroken over his tragic demise. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was one of Hollywood's brightest stars, known for her roles in Rebel Without a Cause and West Side Story. However, her mysterious drowning on November 29, 1981, remains one of Hollywood's most enduring unsolved mysteries. Wood was found floating near her yacht off the coast of Catalina Island. Though officially ruled an accidental drowning, suspicions have long surrounded her husband, Robert Wagner, and co-star Christopher Walken, who were on the boat with her that night. William Holden. William Holden, an Academy Award-winning actor, charmed audiences in films like Sunset Boulevard and Stalag 17. Despite his success, Holden struggled with alcoholism. On November 12, 1981, he slipped on a rug in his apartment, hit his head on a table, and bled to death. The actor was alone, and his body wasn't found for several days. His tragic and lonely death was a somber ending to the life of one of Hollywood's greatest talents. Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate's gruesome murder shocked the world. A rising star in the 1960s, known for her role in Valley of the Dolls, Tate was brutally murdered by followers of Charles Manson on August 9, 1969. She was 8 months pregnant at the time. Her death, along with the murders of 4 others at her Beverly Hills home, marked the end of the 1960s counterculture and left a dark stain on Hollywood history. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson was the epitome of 1950s and 60s masculinity, starring in romantic comedies like Pillow Talk and dramas like Giant. Behind his charming screen presence, Hudson hid his homosexuality from the public. In 1985, he became one of the first major celebrities to die from complications related to AIDS. His death at age 59 brought the disease to the forefront of national attention, changing public perception and helping raise awareness about the AIDS epidemic. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake, the sultry star of This Gun for Hire and Sullivan's Travels, struggled with alcoholism throughout her career. By the 1950s, she was essentially blacklisted from Hollywood and spent her later years working as a bartender to make ends meet. Lake died in relative obscurity from hepatitis in 1973 at the age of 50, her once promising career long behind her. River Phoenix. River Phoenix was one of the most promising young actors of the 1980s and early 90s, known for films like Stand By Me and My Own Private Idaho. His career was cut short when he died of a drug overdose outside the Viper Room in Los Angeles on October 31, 1993, at just 23 years old. His death left fans mourning the loss of a talented actor whose potential was never fully realized. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins, best known for his iconic role as Norman Bates in Psycho, had a complicated personal life that he kept largely private. He struggled with his identity in a time when being openly gay could ruin a career. Perkins was diagnosed with HIV in the 1980s, and on September 12, 1992, he died from AIDS-related pneumonia. Despite his tragic end, he remains an unforgettable figure in horror cinema. Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer was a talented actress known for her roles in films like Come and Get It and Son of Fury. However, her life unraveled due to mental health struggles, substance abuse, and a series of institutionalizations. Farmer spent years in psychiatric hospitals, where she was subjected to electroshock therapy and mistreatment. She died in 1970 at the age of 56, largely forgotten by the industry that once celebrated her. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi became a horror icon for his portrayal of Count Dracula in the 1931 classic film. However, he struggled with drug addiction and financial troubles throughout his life. Lugosi died in 1956 at the age of 73, impoverished and largely forgotten by Hollywood. He was buried wearing his famous Dracula cape, a nod to the role that both defined and haunted his career. James Dean. James Dean became a symbol of youthful rebellion after starring in Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden. His life was tragically cut short on September 30, 1955, when his Porsche 550 Spyder crashed in California, killing him instantly. Dean was just 24 years old. His death solidified his status as a cultural icon, and the mystery surrounding his brief life continues to captivate fans to this day. These 20 Hollywood stars, each with their own unique stories of success and heartbreak, remind us of the darker side of fame. Despite their talent and success, their lives were marred by personal struggles and tragic endings, leaving behind legacies that continue to haunt the industry.